This episode is proudly supported by Anchor Food Professionals, makers of mainland cheese. Here's Andy Sy from the Notting Hill Hotel.
We've been using them for a few years now, using their tasty and mozzarella cheese. We go through about 135 kilos a week at the moment. So a huge number. So we use it for our garlic bread, our pizzas, our parmas, our bechamel, our cheese sauce for our croquettes and arancini, throughout our lasagnas, anywhere we can really. It's such a good product. You know, having the freshest chips to your fresh chicken to a freshly crumbed schnitzel and topping up with a really high quality cheese is amazing.
For more information, go to anchorfoodprofessionals.com.
Obviously, this has totally broken the mold of hotels because these people are enabling me to deal with hundreds of suppliers. So that's a massive step forward for any hotel, and I'm really proud to be part of that nexus of hotels.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Well, today's guest has been on the show before, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome him back, especially as he takes on exciting new challenges across the country. Mike McEnearney, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Anne. How are you, mate?
Good.
Been a little while.
It has been a little while. We're both a little bit grayer.
We certainly are.
But you're coping with it better than me by the look of it.
I've just got more of it. More grey.
Mate, you are busy. You've got place in Melbourne, Canberra, the airport. Like, how are things at the moment?
Yeah, no, things are great, and things are always evolving, which we all love about our industry. But yeah, it's great. I'm down to Melbourne quite often at the moment with a restaurant From Here by Mike, which I love. I love what it stands for and what we're doing. And airport is continuously doing well and changing menus there. And then, yeah, as you mentioned with Canberra, that's an opening for next year, which is exciting.
Well, as a resident of the capital, I'm very much looking forward to that moment. So hurry up with that. There is a lot going on. I want to talk about all those things individually. You just recently announced moving away from the CBD venue. The city is tough in there with the change since COVID, with workers not, working from home and stuff. What's the core of sort of why you've pulled away there?
I think you nailed it. To be honest with you, it's we were on Bent Street for 10 years, and it's a tough market in the CBD because what we're realizing now, we've noticed it since COVID, was people are working more at home, and you know what? If I could work at home, I'd work at home too. but you can't when you run a restaurant. So that's just part and parcel of it. But when people are taking, 1, 2 or 3 days off a week, you can understand the landscape of the city changes pretty quickly, and you're shoehorning your standard 5 days, Monday to Friday trade into perhaps 3 days of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So, it's a tough market, and it wasn't a decision that we made lightly. I love looking after customers at Bent Street, but it's something that we had to do, and sometimes you just have to put the big boys' pants on and get on with it.
Yeah. Is it sort of freed you up to, because you've got so many projects on, is it allowing you a bit more space for those now as well?
Yeah, it certainly does. It really allows me to sort of think about things individually rather than finding the time to do so. So I can really put my time into each project and really give it the effort it deserves. So, I'm really enjoying the I wouldn't say free time. I'd say focus time.
Doesn't sound like you got much free time, mate.
No, I've never been one for free time. There's always things to do.
Well, tell us about From Here by Mike. It's a very exciting project and must have been hard to pull together, but tell us all about it.
Yeah, and do you know what? Last June in 2024, I had a phone call from somebody saying, Mike, there's a hotel company that I think of doing a partnership with you. Are you interested? And I thought, hotel, gosh, I never thought of hotel. It's really not been on my radar. Usually hotels can be quite beige, can be cookie cutter. And that's kind of really doesn't suit what I'm sort of interested in. And they said, look, just give it some thought. This is the brand. I'll give you a call tomorrow. And I did my research pretty rapidly. And the brand was One Hotels. And their core values are very much aligned with mine. They're nature-led. They're sustainable. They take a less is more approach with what they do. They often use the buildings that they use, and they'll use whatever they can to repurpose. And it's those sustainability efforts which really link close to me. So I thought, well, this is actually now worth the conversation because we're talking about the same things. So I guess no one thinks of hotels as having a connection with hyperlocal producers, because most hotels will use one fruit and veg supplier, one fish supplier, one meat supplier, a handful of wine distributors. But for me, that was not going to be possible to do what I believe we wanted to achieve. So the first thing we wanted to do was to build a restaurant in a hotel, not a hotel restaurant. We wanted to give it its own identity. And I love my role at Carriageworks Farmers Market as creative director there. And it's been 10 years this year. And my connection with the growers and the producers and the farmers, I absolutely love that connection. And I've always found my connection with them as the basis to what I do at Kitchen by Mike. So I wanted to use that ethos and drive that focus through From Here by Mike. So really, From Here by Mike is a hyper local restaurant focusing on Victorian produce, and something that really I'm a visual guy, so I drew a map on the front page of the menu, and it basically has the positioning of all of our producers on the Victorian map to show people where they are. And the wine menu, I write the wine menu also because I'm obsessed with wine, and I do think that wine talks to food and food talks to wine. So it made sense that I should do that. And, we've got over 40% of that wine menu from Victorian producers. So in order to deal with hyperlocal small producers and with having over 40% of your wine list being Victorian, obviously this has totally broken the mold of hotels, because these people are enabling me to deal with hundreds of suppliers. So that's a massive step forward for any hotel, and I'm really proud to be part of that nexus of hotels.
That's pretty extraordinary. Well, I know that you're very connected as the creative director at Carriageworks, and you have a strong connection with local producers, particularly in New South Wales. What was it like immersing yourself in Victoria in that sense? I've used a lot of the Victorian produce that we have on the menu before. But in saying that, I've got a really wonderful chef de cuisine at the restaurant who also has connected me with a lot of small growers as well. His name's Josh Bose, and he's a great cook, and he's very aligned with what I believe the restaurant is, and he believes the same. So we have this real great connection, and we're forever bringing in new contacts that we're introducing each other to. So it's a really great combination there of using his intel being on the ground, being from Melbourne, and my sort of intel of sort of perhaps looking at more holistically. So it's a great connection. Is it challenging having a really dynamic menu in that sense in a hotel, even though the hotel group is very aligned with sort of your beliefs? Sure. No, it is. And no one wants to be printing menus all the time. So we try and temper our changes, but we do change, quite regularly, because when you're dealing with small guys, they've got limited stock. And you want to use that stuff. You want to use whatever you can find. So, quite often we have no choice but to do so. It's quite extraordinary what we're doing at the hotel, but and we're well supported with that as well. So that was one of the things that we brought up from the very beginning, that if we want to have an ethos around sourcing hyperlocal produce, we will need to change the menu. And the interesting thing this year is that we had planned a number of menu changes earlier on the piece. We do have a sort of a timeline where we drop particular ingredients in when we're expecting them to come in. And we're super flexible with that. And this year, a lot of those changes were a month later.
And that comes down to, the environment. A lot of people are harvesting later or earlier. And we found, however you plan for these changes, at the end of the day, nature tells you when you're changing, and you have no choice.
You mentioned about changing perceptions in hotels, but the airport is a different beast in itself as well. What's the challenges been like and successes been like with the airport side?
When we opened the airport, it was always we believed that the kitchen by Mike model was right for the airport. It's the egalitarian queue up, choose what you like, pay at the till, sit down, eat something very healthy, eat something local, eat something which is seasonal and honest. And that was always what we scoped. And, doing something very different like Kitchen by Mike in the airport, we won, best airport restaurant in the world in 2018 when we opened that. So we were super duper proud of that. But in saying that, and as we sort of touched on at the beginning of our interview, things evolve and change. And what happens is, the airport changes and people coming through the airport, their wants and needs change. So, Kitchen by Mike, we stick to our core values of using great produce. But to get great produce through the doors of the airport, we might be waiting 2 days for it, because by the time it goes through security, it goes through the X-ray machine, and if you're caught behind big players like McDonald's or Heinemann or whatever, then you could be waiting all day for some product to come through. So it takes a lot of planning to open that, and it's hard for staff as well. In an environment like that, it could take a member of staff, 45 minutes to get through security sometimes to start their shift. And there are difficulties, but in saying that, super proud to be there and love being part of the airport landscape, and really feel proud that we're able to bring people something healthy to eat before they get on an airplane.
Well, it was some time ago that the news came about you opening a restaurant at the National Gallery of Australia in Canberra. Tell us about that process and landing that gig, and what should we expect?
Well, again, that was a tender that somebody reached out to me to look at, and it's with Trippers White Group. So they're the catering company that have the rights to the War Memorial, and obviously they're down there and are trying to grow their base. So they approached me and said, "Look, Mike, the National Gallery is up for tender. Would you be interested in putting a Kitchen by Mike there?" And I thought, you know what? The National Gallery, in my mind, is the most important art museum in Australia. It's super important. So I thought, wow, that to me is a wonderful thing, because I've always believed in trying to make food approachable. So to put something into a gallery where food is usually looked upon as average would be exciting for me. So we put forward the Kitchen by Mike model, and we won the tender. And things have been delayed, and it happens when you're in the government sphere, I guess. But we look at opening in June next year, which is really exciting. They're making some pretty big changes with the gallery at that time as well, and they want to align all the positive changes that they're making with the gallery to open together and to have a big announcement. So I'm so proud to be part of that, because as I said, it's the most important gallery in Australia, in my mind, my opinion. So it's exciting.
Many would agree. You've really the master of connecting with local producers and championing them on menus and letting their produce speak. For operators that might be in a hotel or might be looking to do their own thing, how do they bridge that gap and get more local and cut out sort of just big distributors that supply everything for them and get a better connection? Is it a hard road to go down?
I think the hardest road is getting the accounts across your getting the accounts across your plan, because if they're open to meeting new producers and starting new new accounts, then that's great. But do you know what I'm finding is some of the distributors these days, they are capturing quite a few small people. And I think that's been a really great thing, that these powerful distributors, some of them are all powerful and they're massive and they don't really care about what they do. They're just looking at numbers. But there are a number of distributors out there that really care about the people that they have on their books. So if you make a connection with someone like that, like in Melbourne, for instance, we use Natura, and they're an incredible company. They're connected with a lot of great growers. So we're really proud to sort of partner with those guys. They're not small. They're international. They've got, they're in Europe and the UK. They're a UK originated in the UK, and they're based in Victoria over here. So they're a great company to get connected to if you're in Victoria. And there are other people in New South Wales, but it's about finding distributors that have a great breadth of growers on or producers on their list. And then usually a lot of these producers, they're connected in some way, because they don't believe in, you're buying my product and I don't want you to buy anyone else's. They really like to share. They're generous people. So they'll often pass you on to somebody else. If they can't get something for you, they'll pass you to someone else, or they'll talk about something coming in season that they don't do, but someone else does it really well. And because at the end of the day, regen farming and, small production and things, it's where we need to be. And anyone that's in that game, they want to support each other that's in that game, because it's not easy. It's tough. It's a really hard game to play because, people these days, they find it hard to put their hand in their pocket and pay for what something really costs.
You, as we mentioned, you're the creative director with the Carriage Works, the farmers markets there. What's so important about farmers markets to you? We've got them all across the country and they've become real hubs of the community. Why are they so important, do you think?
I guess they're important to me is firstly to show people that when you buy your product, there's a person behind the product. So it's not something that grows in a plastic bag. It's grown by somebody. And, when we opened, well, not when I took over Carriage Works, I didn't start it, but what we're proud to have there is a charter that we put in play. And the charter focuses around a rule book basically. But the crux of the rule book is that firstly and foremost, the produce needs to be from New South Wales. You as a grower, you need to be farming in New South Wales. And then secondly, you as the producer need to come and sell your wares at the market. You can't have a distributor come and represent you, because what we really want is we want the customers or the guests, or however you want to call yourself, to come and shop and to get that really authentic farmers market vibe in a very urban landscape. That's really what it's about. So they can have this connection. They can find out the postcode of their asparagus. They can really connect with their farmers and understand more and connect with the seasons. Why are we trying to eat tomatoes in July? You know what I mean? But, I've always seen tomatoes in some of the big grocery stores. But why? We need to be meeting people and eating with the seasons and supporting local. So that's my belief with farmers markets, and supporting regen farming and supporting the farmers that are really pushing the boat out to try and make, to try and grow great product authentically and with integrity.
Every time we catch up, you seem to always be doing something exciting and new and evolving other parts of what you do. And it's always really interesting. What's the next couple of years look like for you? I know you got a couple of projects, especially with the gallery coming, but what's it look like for you?
I think what I really like to do is to use this time and consolidate and do what I do really, really well. I think that's a really important thing, is to take scope, look at what you're doing and just really understand, what does the next step mean? Can I continue to do what I'm doing? Or do I need to look at it in a different lens? And can I help other people do what they're doing as well? It's 35 years in hospo for me this year. So it's a long time, and I enjoy giving back. So, I like mentoring people and helping people in the game. I think that's a really important thing that I can help with. So that's really part of my ethos and part of my journey at the moment is how can I help others in this really tough industry? Because at the end of the day, I only realized about 1.5 years, 2 years ago that why I'm actually a chef. And it's not to dice onions, and it's not about the art. It's about the true core word of hospitality, what it means. I really love looking after people. I love, seeing somebody eat well and knowing that they're happy. That to me is a really beautiful thing. And it's not just about me cooking them food. It's about sourcing product from happy people. And just, it's important. It's an eye opener because quite often ego can get in our way of judgment. But for me, it's all about holistically about what hospitality is and really what we're doing to preserve it and make it better.
Well, Mike, as always, it's an absolute pleasure to catch up. Can't wait for you to open next year in the capital. Very excited.
Trust me, you'll be the first person I serve. I hope.
Keep in touch. We'll catch up soon.
Lots of love.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Stay safe and be well.